What's up, guys? Tommy Bennett here. In today's video, what I'm going to do is I'm going to get some subscribers' videos and we're going to break it down. We're going to get super nerdy. And the goal is to be able to break the videos down, and hopefully along the way, you're going to be able to learn something. And whether you're using that now for a trick that you just learned, or maybe it's inspirational for a trick you're about to learn. So stick tuned through the end and come vibe. And if you want to submit a video, definitely look in the description below. Submit your video. We can go come hang out. We can go vibe. And if you want to come hang out while we do this live, check out my YouTube channel and live. Put post notifications on because I might be doing them on Tuesday, but I might be doing them as a bonus stream, so you never know. All right, guys, let's get started. The first clip we're getting into is Chris K. Backflip / barrel roll. Now, the biggest thing about any of these is we got to put them in 1080 because we want this bad boy to look freaking amazing. All right, so we're gonna go. I did see this before already, so. All right, coming in hot for a backflip / barrel roll, coming in on a relatively like medium-sized jump, medium to large, and lands it. Oh, and just absolutely gets spit out, unfortunately. And you could tell that he's not super pumped. So one thing you're gonna notice already from the get-go is how much amplitude Chris did not get. You're going to notice that he's not getting a lot of amplitude. He's not actually getting off of the snow. He's more just absorbing and getting low, right? And so we notice that one of the things that we're going to notice kind of right off the bat is in this position. Now, I don't know if you guys know this. This is pretty freaking awesome. You can actually go to playback speed, and we're going to go to like 0.25. Obviously, it's a slight bit choppy, but you can watch video slow motion. So if you guys are like watching one of mine videos and you're like, what the heck, doesn't make any sense, well, you can watch it in 0.5. All right, so you're gonna notice that right here as he's taking off, he's very patient off the lip, which is super awesome. But you're gonna notice that instead of extending his belly or extending his legs and getting his body to be going up, essentially what he's doing as is like, I got this really cool like rocking chair type thing, and essentially what he's doing is as soon as he gets to the lip, he's driving his shoulders back as if he's trying to like lean back in a chair. And with that said, he's not getting a lot of amplitude up. Now, the goal about getting amplitude up is to be able to give you more hang time, which gives you more control because you can now see the landing and be able to have more time to process that. Now, obviously, the bigger you go, you have to counter that by throwing a little less hard. But with this, it's such a rapid throw that there's not a lot of time to process much. And then once you go, right, now you're spotting the landing. You've already done the flip, but look how close Chris is to the ground, right? It's obviously a little fuzzy for you guys, but you notice how close he is to the ground. You don't have much time to really conquer it. You don't have much time to really like own it. Now, granted, he's a boss and he still is able to bring his knees under his body and still ride away. But then notice what happened. As soon as he had such limited time that he's in the back seat. Now that he's in the back seat, his lead shoulder's up, he's in the back seat, and eventually that momentum went so far in the back seat that he was unable to control it, right? Which makes it super challenging. But if you were able to pop a little bit more instead of absorbing and then actually see the landing, then you'd be able to land a little bit more in the a little bit more centered. And then if you have the time, you can even shift your weight forward to get more weight on both feet, if that makes sense. So, but good job for landing most of it, right? We're so close, like so close. So a lot of awesome things there, which is you landed, you're able to conquer your fear, you'll be able to backflip, a lot of cool things there. But I think really popping and being able to spot the landing is going to do a lot of cool stuff, right? But Chris K, thank you so much for submitting the video. So now we got Maya was from Big Snow. Big shout out to Maya. Says Frontside 360. We're going to pop it into full screen as much as we can. And, well, yeah, we should try full screen. That might be really cool. And then we're going to watch it first. We're going to play it through. We're just going to vibe. We're just going to see what she does. And then we're going to break it down. And if I can find a comparable clip of mine, then I'd like to compare them to and just we get a little nerdy out here. So Maya dropping in, coming in hot. We got a frontside 360. Oh, frontside 360. We're gonna watch that one more time. Cool. The biggest challenge that we have on frontside 360s is being able to get an appropriate windup that allows our body and board to go off the jump with the right amount of rotation, or even going in the right direction, but then you got to be able to get your upper and lower body to rotate together. So let's watch this in a slow motion. She has, it does look like her lead shoulder is open right now, and then she's really driving from the back shoulder. I noticed that because you're going to see a lot more movement from the back shoulder right now, where the lead shoulder is not doing a lot of movement. So a lot of power coming out of the back shoulder. Ideally, you want to lead with the lead shoulder, and that stems from having more of a closed shoulder to open movement, kind of like you're getting a baseball bat and then you're like swinging back and then hitting it, and not just like bunting, if that makes any sense. So moving on. Then you're going to notice, and I had kind of just talked about this a second ago, she drives really hard with the upper body, getting the initial rotation of the upper body. And then what she does is she spins her lower body, but then her upper body are not moving together. So if I can demonstrate this well, the lead shoulder rotates 45 degrees, then the lower body rotates 180 degrees. Well, guess what happened to the shoulders up above? They're now lagging behind, and now they're not working together. So then she gets in this super twisted position, and I know it's a little fuzzy, but she gets in this twisted position where her shoulders over here are pointed one way, and her board's trying to go the opposite direction. And then at the last second, she is trying to look, but she's essentially stopped in place at a 270 degrees, got a little bucked, and then went there. So the recommendation that I would have is on the run-in, close the lead shoulder, drive with that lead shoulder, and then as soon as your lead shoulder opens about 45 degrees as you are taking off, then you're going to keep looking where you're going. Most importantly, you're going to engage your core, allowing your body to rotate as one, even if it's like a split second, and then you get your whole body to primarily rotate. And then I do this all the time. It's called a scissor movement, where you just speed up your lower body at the last second. So I'm going to hop over here to another page and show you guys a frontside 360, because I know I have one. I just got to find it. Frontside 360, backside 360. Come on. Come on. Oh, yeah. Look at this. Big snow. How funny. Look at this guy. We're going to go into... I wish it would just go automatic to 1080, but it's not. So we're going to watch this fast mo, and this is mine. And we're just going to watch the two just so we have some kind of a bit of a reference. Now, granted, I did grab, but there's a lot of things we can learn. Okay. What I would like to talk about here is notice how closed my lead shoulder is. I have a logo, which is like a Bennett logo, which you guys can't really see. I have a Bennett logo on the front of my hoodie, and I have my lead shoulder is actually closed, meaning you can't really see that shoulder. So I am now in a position where I'm going to be able to generate a lot of power. And then as I get closer to the lip, of course, I'm going to be winding that, but I'm going to be unwinding and I'm going to be throwing that lead shoulder. But you're also going to notice that my lead shoulder is doing a lot more of the movement versus the back shoulder. Now, I get into this position. Yes, my lead shoulder is... Oh, you guys can't see it. Hold on. There we go. Sorry about that, my dudes. So now you're going to notice that my lead shoulder is open and my feet are a little bit behind. But that's okay, because now I've allowed my lower body to catch up to my upper body, and now my body is technically rotating together. Notice this body position now at 180 versus what Maya was in at the 180 mark, if we can just find that real quick. Right? That's probably just about 180. Notice how like super twisted and super like kind of disorganized, and then mine's like very cohesive. It's together. Now, like I said, I'm going to continue spinning, and now I have actually accelerated my board to finish the 360, even though my shoulders are now lagging. Now, there's two reasons why I do this. One, I got to make sure I'm not going sideways, so I land. I don't want to cheat it and do something improper and claim it to be cool, because it's not, unless you're like landing a full 360. But the second thing is I don't want to catch an edge, if you know what I mean. So then we go into that. Now, boom. I land with both feet at the same time. My weight is distributed between both of my knees. And then I ride away. And then I cut back uphill because I was hiking at the time. But a big part of this is just being able to throw it, trust it, and do the certain movements right at the right time. And then it leads to something really cool. So thank you so much for submitting that video, because there's going to be a lot of people who do this. It's a very common movement pattern. And if we can throw the shoulder, engage the core, and look where you're going, it's going to be a big deal. All right, guys, so the next thing that we're going to dive into is a tame tog from our boy Gello Shot. I met this dude in Oregon. He was super cool, super awesome. So I'm stoked that he was able to submit a clip, and hopefully we can get some nerd going. So we watched it in fast mo. We're going to watch it in fast mo in 1080. Oh, it's rough. Okay. We're going to now go into some playback slow mo, just like we did on the last one. And then we're going to go play this from the beginning. You know, ideally when I'm getting shots like this, I don't essentially want like 6 minutes of you riding into the park feature, but I do think getting some context to the situation, if I had another 15 yards on this clip, it would just give me a lot more information. So if you guys are going to be submitting clips, which it's going to be linked in the description below, just get a little bit more information, but I also don't want 9 minutes of just like people running in, if that makes sense. So just try to find a nice little balance. So what we're going to be doing right now is slow motion. Okay. If you guys were to look at this clip and just think like what happened, what is the biggest thing to go wrong? I would hope, and ideally the biggest thing that sticks out to me is as he drives for the initiation and drives for the rotation in the beginning of the trick, he's essentially flexing his hip down, and then he almost drives, or he flexes his hip down. It causes the board to flex a bit, but then he is still flexing down. Even though it looks like he's throwing the trick, the biggest thing in this situation is that he needs to actually get some amplitude and some pop simultaneously, which is a very contradicting / weird movement, which I have another clip we're going to see here in a minute. Essentially, you got to be able to get more amplitude and some flip, but he's so concerned about the flip that he just doesn't have enough time in the air, which also hinders the ability to rotate. So it's like I'm so focused on rotation, but I need enough air to get the rotation, if that makes sense. So you're going to see that he doesn't even get his body to go up at all, which if he just had more hang time, he may have landed this. There's a probability I would argue is probably wouldn't have landed, but that's where he needs to get to, is being able to get more amplitude. And then unfortunately what happens, and it's pretty common in the flips, is that you're about halfway and then you register that you're A, 6 inches off the ground, and B, I'm not going to make this rotation. What your natural reaction is to grab or reach or prepare for the crash. And that's essentially what happens here. And you can see that his rotation stops. So now he's like about this much rotation, and it stays there for quite a while until his back hits. So like it does actually delay just a little bit. So we're going to go over to an Instagram clip that I have, and not to like flex or anything. This is the only one that I could find at the time. And yes, I was wearing a backpack, but it's Mount Hood. Now, I'm going to play this like we normally do. So we're going to play this in 1080. We're going to play it one time through fast, but because it's my Instagram, it's going to be fast then slow already, as long as my computer can go fast enough. Come on, internet, you got this. Let's go. There we go. Excuse me, sir. Excuse me. All right, we're going to try this again. Boom. All right. So first thing we're going to notice is that I wind up a little bit more. My eyes are looking at the knuckle, because essentially on a front flip, if you got to leave about 6 inches to a foot before the lip of the jump so that your board can actually flex into it, because if you wait too long, you just don't get any pop, and it's super challenging. So you're going to notice that I'm like timing it super hard. Let's go to the slow motion one. It's going to be a lot easier to break down. So you're going to notice that I wind up, my eyes are looking on, I'm popping, but notice this body position. I'm a lot more tall, and you're going to see here in a second where I'm almost going up, and now I'm able to get so much more of the flip, but I have enough time. Now, here's the body position that our dude was in right here. My backhand almost for barely a split second looks like I'm going to reach for the ground. But the key on the front flip is to continue driving my lead shoulder towards the nose of your board into the landing right here. Notice that I'm back in a stacked position. My shoulders are above my hips and my hips are above my knees. Notice that I'm landing pretty evenly with both feet at the same time. I even have my shoulder closed just a little bit to ensure that my body is stacked. I got enough weight on that front foot, and now I'm riding away. Now, one other cool thing that I like about this trick is that as soon as I land within 3 board lengths, I'm ready to go. there might be a small child in the way, I could actually avoid him, which is kind of cool. So just understanding the body positions that are different. Let's watch this one more time, and then we're going to go back to our dude. So right here, my knees come in, and I look at the landing, and I finish. And I didn't go back. I didn't go massive. I didn't go massive at all. The other thing I just noticed too, which is kind of cool about doing this breakdown series, watch where his eyes throw. Right here, he's essentially throwing his eyes behind his shoulder in this movement versus throwing his eyes towards his nose. He's actually rotated his back shoulder 90 degrees behind him versus staying stacked in like a cartwheel position and then taking everything in a cartwheel position, which in theory, his eyes should be looking over the nose, not around your back shoulder. That's a big deal too. That's a big deal. Right here. Now he's looking for the ground. It just got a little twisted for sure. So does that make sense? So just a couple things just to recap real quick. One, being able to project yourself up and out while getting the rotation, keeping your eyes just past the nose. Once you're in the air, you're going to keep the rotation going. And then when you get to the landing of the trick, you want to drive your shoulder to the landing so you can land with both feet at the same time. And those things are going to accumulate to be a really cool flip. Boom. I like that one. Front flips are really challenging in real life. But if you can do the sequence right, they're actually pretty sick. So that we've done 1, 2, 3. Okay. Yo, Emma. Okay, you guys ready for this? Hold on. I can't spoil the fun. Can't spoil the fun. All right, so Emma, this is for you. We're going to be breaking down a backboard pretzel attempt. Not to foreshadow anything, but we've got a nice little backboard pretzel attempt. And I want you, Emma, if you're watching this, to go practice this trick at home on a snowboard addiction board. You can even get your board on a tire and try to use what we're about to say in your little house and try to get this trick a little bit more awesome. But we're gonna watch this thing in 1080 and we're gonna full send it. Here we go. Get some popcorn out. Ooh. Oh man. Oh, I hope you're okay, dude. Oh no. Oh, this guy in the back is like, I don't know what just happened. I'm just gonna keep going. I'm trying to cover up a rock because there's no snow here. This is actually in Australia, by the way, guys. It's pretty freaking sick. So backboard pretzels are a really sick trick. So backboard pretzels are an awesome trick. Now, just to define what a backboard is, essentially she's entering the rail with her back facing the rail. That is a backside, and then we go into a board side, right? So she's going backside, board side. Now, essentially her momentum is going counterclockwise. She's starting on the right, going left. Now, the whole goal is to 270 out, back clockwise, which is like against the grain, let's call it. So when you're going against the grain and against the momentum, your body ends up as a pretzel, and we call it pretzel in snowboarding. So essentially she's going one way and then trying to go 270 out the other way, which is obviously pretty freaking awesome, but pretty freaking challenging. So one of the very first things that we're going to notice here, besides putting it into like, let's go 0.25 because we like to do that. One of the very first things that I would highly recommend is exaggerate the board slide. Get in a strong board slide, meaning the board is at 90 degrees. More importantly, that I'd love to see Emma flex her lead knee more and sink into that trick just a little bit. What that's going to allow you to do is if my knee is flexed, my natural movement is to extend. Versus if I'm already tall, I can't really get any taller. In essentially extension or getting taller is popping or getting amplitude off of the feature. That's the whole goal, is to give you more time in the air to get the trick around. What happens a lot of the times is you're very tall, then you just don't really do anything and you just kind of fall off the end and you don't actually get extra air. And the whole goal is to get some extra air and some extra vibes, which is pretty sick. And so it all starts by establishing a really strong board slide. Now the next step to this, right about here, you're going to notice how back shoulder is not pointed back towards the end of the PVC pipe. When you're doing a backboard pretz, you really have to exaggerate the shenanigans out of your back shoulder pulling behind you because you want your shoulders to start leading the direction of rotation. While your body's doing something else, you have upper lower body separation, meaning my upper body's doing one thing, my lower body's doing something else. They're separated. So essentially what she needs to be doing is driving this back shoulder back so that her natural tendency is to go in the pretzel direction. The other thing that's a big game changer is right about now, you want to look over your back shoulder. Right now, if my shoulder's back here and then I look, I mean, I don't know if you just heard it. I probably just broke my computer in half. But essentially what will happen is that if my shoulder's here and then I turn my head, my whole entire chair wants to go in that direction. So I'm here. And that's how you'll actually start the initiation. So you want to be set up with a nice board side. You want to be set up with your back shoulder pinching behind you. And then right about a board length before the end of the feature, look behind you, and then it's going to get everything to go in the direction. Now, but looking behind you is probably one of the scariest things ever, because now you're lost track of the end of the feature, and you got to build the confidence and you got to build the awareness to trust that. And once you're able to do that, that trick will be unlocked. And like I said, without really like seeing it, I already knew what was going to happen. Look how much she doesn't go above the feature. She immediately drops down. Right? She wasn't getting any extra umph. So if you can combine the shoulder position, the looking behind you, and then extending that lead leg, getting a little bit more hang time in the air, all of a sudden this trick's going to be more achievable. Granted, it's a hard trick. Trust me. Frontboard pretz and backboard pretz are pretty freaking challenging, but boom. Oh, I hate to see it. Hate to see it. But Emma, thank you so much for the submission. Definitely practice that stuff on a snowboard addiction board. You can get your snowboard on a couch cushion, a tire, whatever you got to do, and just implement that feedback because it's pretty freaking awesome. No. Oh, my goodness, guys. All right, well, let's break this down. All right, guys, so this is going to be the last breakdown that we're going to break down tonight. Now, there's a lot we can learn, and big shout out to our live stream. And Fine had said, you know what, Tommie, you should break this down because there's a lot we can learn. And I'm like, you know what, you're not wrong. So we're going to break this down. And as much as we learn from what is people are doing correctly, learning from what, the mistakes people are doing is definitely another awesome opportunity to just learn, right? Learn, get nerdy. So we saw this in Fast Mo. We're going to break this down and let's see what happens. Now, in the comments down below, what do you think happened? I mean, you can pause it real quick, hop down, chat real quick. What do you think? Why did this dude just absolutely get bodied? Oh, I hate to see it. Luckily, it was soft, and I'm thankful our dude is hopefully okay because obviously he submitted the clip, so I'm assuming he's good. So going back into this, we are at 0.25 speed. It's a little choppy, but that's okay. So we're going into now. Notice the spring that he gets. He does get that oomph that we were talking about earlier in the front flip breakdown. He gets some oomph, which is a big deal. Okay. The other advantage he has is as the back of this is essentially a catwalk. This actually might be veil. I think I've actually done backflips here now that I look at it. I might have. Who knows? But essentially, what the ground drops off, which gives you a little bit of extra time, which is kind of nice. All right, so and I like this a lot because this is really cool to be able to break down. So what we're gonna notice is that as he flexes down and goes to throw this trick, instead of his shoulders rotating in a cartwheel movement, his shoulders rotate about 90 degrees forward. So now as his shoulders move forward, you're instantly going to see that his board matches the angle of his shoulders. So even if we're spinning or we're doing a straight air, a lot of times what happens is if we're doing a straight air and my lead shoulder is open 45 degrees, well, my shoulders essentially set the tone and then my lower body just follows. It's just like a sheep. It just follows. It doesn't really know what's going on until it learns like it has a mind of its own and then it figures it out later. But for the most part, when you're like new to jumping and new to catching air, wherever my shoulders are, the rest of my body's going to follow. So as I indicated a second ago, notice that his shoulders are quite forward. And now look at his board. His board's already 90 degrees and his shoulders are 90 degrees. They're instantaneously lined up. Surprisingly, right? Just absolutely surprisingly like lined up. Now he's doing a flip. Instead of projecting his energy over the nose of his board, he's actually projecting the energy from his shoulders towards his knees. Interesting enough. Now guess what happens? His board's sideways, right? Now it's not perfectly 90. We're obviously going to argue that it's off a little bit. And he does a great job by like managing this. He lands, and essentially in POW, you do want to land a little bit back seat because you don't want your nose to dip down, and then you do a front flip after doing a front flip after a front flip. Like, right, we're not trying to do that. So you want to allow that nose to be up. So in theory, landing back seat is really acceptable if you can handle and you're in the right backseat position. Not I'm going to die backseat, but I'm in control backseat. You know, backseat driver. Okay, that was a bad example, but here we are. So with that said, he rides, but his momentum is carrying him downhill. But notice that his board is carrying him across the hill. And eventually, both roads just do not lead to the same place. Watch, his board starts to ride, and then his momentum's carrying him down to a point where his momentum went down. So as we saw in the clip earlier of that one guy named Tommie Bennett, and if you aren't following Instagram, check out Instagram because I break down tricks every day, super nerdy, and I do a fast mo and a slow mo. Notice the difference. Notice where my board is. Notice where my hips are. Notice where my shoulders are. Notice that it's not in 1080. We're going to put it in 720, out of 720 into 1080, and we're going to play it again. There we go. Notice where everything is. It's lined up, and that was fast mo. My bad. We're out here. So notice that my board is straight. My shoulders are pretty lined up as well. Boom. Already my board has not gone 90 degrees, 45 degrees. I land back seat in this different, obviously it's different context in terms of the landing, but I landed a little back seat. If it was POW, I could have adjusted, but my board is pointed in the direction my momentum's going right away. That's the biggest thing that we're missing here. It's just that front flip position where you're flipping. Kind of sick, right? One of my favorite things about just doing this in general is just being able to like nitpick these things, not out of hate, not out of like, bleh, you know what I mean? But it's out of like, oh, what happened? Oh, okay. Now I see what happened. Let's use another example of how it didn't happen and let's learn, right? The whole point of this channel is to make you guys learn. And I just want to see people get better at snowboarding. I'm not going to be the reason we elevate snowboarding, but at least I want to be a part of it, right? I want to just help get the snowboard community, and I want people just to be better snowboarders, and I just want to be a part of that uplifting experience. And if we can do that, we're all vibing. So we're going to end that right there, guys. So if you guys want me to break down your snowboarding, you have two options. Submit the clip down below, and you can watch this video at a later date, or you can come hang out during a live stream where I can break it down. And then if you have any additional questions, well, I'm already here. We can nerd out and go even further into nerd territory in the nerd world if we need to. So definitely subscribe to the channel. Definitely submit a video if you want to become more awesome and you just need a little bit of help. And then definitely consider putting your post notifications on so you guys don't miss a video, you don't miss a live stream, you just don't miss anything that's going on because we got a lot of exciting stuff going on. So with that note, guys, nothing but love. We out.